Hello, humans. Welcome back to the F the Lines podcast, the show where we talk about creativity, introversion, and how to stay wildly functional in a distracted world. I'm your host / friendly neighborhood extraterrestrial, Andrew Foltz, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to deal with the pain of pushing your limits. Hope you guys enjoy this one, and I'll see you on the other side. July 2019. I'm sitting at the computer staring at my outstretched hands like a video game character who's just inherited some magical power, except lightning bolts aren't shooting out of my fingers, they're shooting into them. I'm in pain, which is kind of normal for someone who spends all day coding. What's not normal is that my fingers aren't recovering. Over the past month, I've gone from powering through 10-hour code marathons to tenderly pecking at the keyboard for a few minutes at a time. I'm freaking out because the keyboard is not only how I make my living, freelance web design, but also how I interface with reality. Writing, coding, illustrating, chatting, designing, researching, everything I love to do hurts. My whole world feels like it's been wrapped in electric fencing and I'm fucking terrified. For a while, I pretend like everything's a-okay. I sit down at the computer every day and get to work, but each morning is more difficult than the last. First, I cut my day down to 4 hours, then 3, then 2, then it comes to a point where I literally can't type for more than 5 minutes without borderline crying from the pain. I mean, let's be clear, I'm not a tearful person. I usually am very good at coping with pain, but this is on a whole different level. Sometimes the pain comes so fast that my hands shake in frustration. It's like, what the hell is wrong with me? After cutting my hours down, my next line of defense is ergonomics. This leg of the journey is kind of a strange one. I try a keyboard that looks like it belongs on the Death Star, a mouse operated by my thumb, a mouse that is not a mouse at all, but none of it does any good. By this point, I'm actually starting to lose my shit. I go to see a physical therapist, poor lady, and barrage her with all sorts of desperate theories. Maybe it's overuse, or RSI, or genetics, or fluoride in the water. We try some neck exercises for a few weeks. Maybe it's a nerve blockage, but those also fail to produce any results. Finally, I go see a doctor and explain how I've been unable to work for months. He feels my fingers, does some range of motion tests, and then drops the A-bomb. This sounds like arthritis. But, I flounder, how likely is it that I have arthritis at 29? Not likely, he says. Still, all your symptoms are consistent. You can start taking a leave every day to reduce the inflammation. So that's it. There are no excuses left. I'm 29 and I have to survive the next 70 years with arthritis in my fingers. I am so fucked. I happen to know a dominatrix in LA, which is a story for another time. But one day I came across this promo video she shot for her business. Sadie, which is not her real name, is also a painter and activist and describes her work as trauma art. It's a fitting description because as I watch her cover a woman from toes to chest in plastic wrap, I think this is surprisingly zen. So here's what it sounds like. Sadie says, "What are you feeling in your body?" The sub says, "I'm panicking." Sadie says, "You can slow down your breathing. You can slow down everything." Could call this being in the moment, but it's deeper than that. I think BDSM is fundamentally about control. It's not what you can't control, but what can you control. What I learned from this experience is that it's impossible to hide from pain. I've been looking for external solutions to my arthritis, depression, anxiety, etc., but the only real solution is to run with the pain, to become stronger internally. This isn't the same thing as ignoring my limits. In the next few months, I spend less time writing and drawing, but I'm more focused. When the pain comes, I don't panic. I breathe deeply and sit with it until I return to a balanced state of consciousness. Apart from coping with the pain of the present moment, I'm feeling free from anxiety about the future. I welcomed pain into my life, and it's become like a hot sauce in my existential soup. This spring, I started getting arthritis in my knees and hips. Before, it would have devastated me, but now I'm not afraid. Life is simply one problem after another, and I can take whatever it throws at me. It's like Danny Brown says in the song Monopoly, handle any situation. I know people who are paralyzed by pain. I also know people who push past pain and injure themselves. And the way forward is through the middle. You want to play with your limits, test them out. The physicist Stephen Hawking is a great example of this. Instead of giving in to pain, he woke up every single day and asked himself 3 questions. These are questions you can ask yourself. Number 1, how do I slow down? You can't think in panic mode. You have to counter complexity with simplicity. And the simplest human function I know is breathing. When pain, fear, anxiety, depression, etc. come, bring yourself to a full stop and focus on one breath at a time. Pull the air into your lungs so deeply that your chest can't expand 1 millimeter further. This doesn't just calm you down, it expands you. It shifts you out of a mental fetal position and gives you space to think clearly. So once you've done that, you can move on to step number 2, or question number 2, which is, what's the real problem? Pain is not a real problem. When you stop to think about your pain, what you'll realize is that it's just the tip of a very large iceberg. The part that matters is under the surface. I'm not afraid of pain. I'm afraid that pain will stop me from writing and drawing. Actually, I'm not even afraid of that either. I'm afraid that if I can't write and draw, I won't be able to express myself. That's the real problem. And real problems are much easier to solve than fake ones. There's only one way to write and draw, but there are a million ways I can express myself. So number 3, what can I control? After you've figured out what the real problem is, the next step is to understand what you can still control. If my arthritis gets so bad that I can't write or draw anymore, I'll make the switch to speaking or coaching. Think of yourself as water. If you try to resist change, you'll end up like a pond, murky and stagnant. The better choice is to become a river. When you hit a snag, you'll simply reroute and keep on flowing. So here's how you can take action. Life is full of pain, or more accurately, life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something. That's a Princess Bride reference if you didn't catch it. Whether you're dealing with physical pain or mental pain, it's never going to disappear. You have to be ready for it, and the best way to do that is to make a ritual. Whenever pain comes, run through the steps above or come up with your own variation. Either way, it's the consistency that counts. So how do you deal with pain? Do you have a strategy or habit that makes coping easier? You can let me know on Medium at Off the Lines. I post all of these articles or podcasts as articles on Medium, so you can find it there. As far as my mechanism, like the last time I got a tattoo, I experimented with translating pain. It was kind of cool. Every time the needle hit, I played this little game. I was like, okay, pain is spicy and spicy is hot and hot is cozy. It's like soon enough, the needle was feeling cozy. Like it was literally feeling nice to get a tattoo. It's kind of wild. So stay pushed, my friends, and I'll catch you next time.